Hey guys, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to create an action that will allow this door to be either a garage door, a sci-fi door, or whatever your imagination will allow you to concoct with this script. But this door will either move left, right, up, down, close itself when the player is away from it. Okay, so first thing we need to do is obviously create the action. So we're going to call it action slide door. Set me to polygon and shadow, and C set min max me, so give it the actual bounding box of the model, and var lock x equals 0. And if you were watching the tutorial on sliding the bookcase, this should look a little familiar. So distance to travel equals 110, and distance traveled equals 0, and if is my flag 3. Otherwise, we can just put these. Oops, sorry about that. So you can kind of see here how we're going to be constructing this. This is going to be our up and down, and these will be left and right depending on which way it's rotated. So while 1, meaning that if it was locked, just if flag 3 is on, then that means that we want it to be a garage type of door. So it will go up and down. So if dist my.x player.x is less than 256, so if the player is close enough, make it a bigger number. While distance is less than distance to travel times 1.5, wait 1 as always, and my dot z plus equals 16 times step, and distance traveled plus equals 16. Therefore, the door is now opening. And now if the player is greater than 500, so therefore, if the door is opening as you're getting close to it, it's not just going to open and shut if you're like right on the borderline of it, recognizing that you're close to it or not. So it's always good to have this second number here larger than the first. Right, so now if it's greater than 0, meaning that it's reached its peak, it's got to come back down. So reverse those numbers, and therefore it will now go up and down. And then in here we need to say that lock x equals 1 and temp equals my.x. Yes, that is correct. Alright, so basically the same thing as the bookcase, or exactly the same. Depending on which flag is set, we'll lock it to whatever axis it needs to be locked to when it's moving. So if one of these were set, then while infinite, or until the script says break somewhere. And so if you are close enough, then while distance traveled is less than distance to travel. Wait, 1. And if log x equals 1, else my dot x equals temp and my dot y plus equals 16 times step. And then basically just reverse it here. So depending on which flag you set will determine which way it will go, left or right, or well, either way it's going to go left or right. But if you have it, say for example, this way, flag 2 will allow it to go this way. Flag 1, however, would only allow it to go this way, which doesn't make sense in this case. So that's why we have the option to alternate between the two of them. Alright, so this means that it's been opened, so therefore it can now close if the player is greater than, I don't know, we'll just keep it simple. Smaller numbers. If it's greater than 0, and that's, oh, I gotta subtract these. One more final thing. This needs to increment here with the distance traveled, and so does this, except this needs to decrease. So if you are close enough to the door, depending on which flag is set, it will open, and if you're far enough away, then depending on which flag is set, it will close. So we'll save that. We'll come back to the world editor. Once again, I have it set to flag 2 because it's going to be locked on the y-axis, so it'll be moving on the x-axis. Whereas this one was set to flag 1, the bookcase, because it's moving on the y-axis and locked to the x-axis. Ultimately, if you wanted to set this to 3 instead, sorry about that. Right here. Alright. So what's going on? Oh, I still have to set the action to it. So up, down, up, and down. You could add some sounds. Maybe give it some hydraulic sound effects. Right. And then we can set this to flag 2. Build. Run. Alright, so you just witnessed what happens if you don't put a weight beside your whiles. You get a nice little engine crash. So there. Now if you wanted that to slide over more, you could just bring this up to 25. And that is how you add sci-fi doors or garage doors to your project.